it show next? Hello. So it's really a pleasure to see you all here, and also those guys, boys and girls who are sitting somewhere behind the other side of the screen. So my name is Donatas Marnauskas, and I'm a co-founder and CEO of Deeper. I would like to ask, do we have some anglers, those who like to fish here in the hall? No? Do you know what Deeper is? A little bit? Okay, so those who don't know, do not go to deeper.com. You will find something different. That's not our website. So I will tell several words about Deeper. So a little bit more than 10 years ago, anglers who fish from the shore did not have any technology to check if fish is in the fishing spot. So basically you had to guess. You had to rely on some other information like suggestions from friends, from your experience, etc. But if you go to the lake or river or sea, there is no way to see from the shore, from the bank, if there is fish here. So we had an idea to bring sonar technology to those guys and girls who like fishing and give them possibility to see on their mobile phone using gadget. You cast it to the lake, to the river, you scan it and you see if there is fish, what is the depth, are there any underwater weeds, and so on. And you can decide if you would like to start fishing here or move to another location. So we started 3 guys, and now we have like 70 people around in the office. We are creating, manufacturing, and selling our products all over the world. Now we have more than 600,000 customers. Okay, so I was invited to talk about MVP, and the reason why I was asked, most likely because we have been doing during those 10 years MVPs on our own, and our very beginning first product was also kind of an MVP. So that's the main reason. And first of all, I like always to start with definition. So what is MVP? What is minimum viable product? What we should call MVP? What is not MVP? The second question, why? Why we need it? Why we are talking about it? Then what is, because definition not always tell what is MVP and what is not MVP. Then what types of MVP we have? What is a success path to create successful MVP? What pitfalls we can face while we are doing this? And also let's look at some examples, which most likely you know. Maybe you don't remember how those products looked like MVPs, because today we used to have already full versions and successfully use those products. So what is MVP? Do we have any ideas? Someone? Yes. Yes, so this is like we can decipher those 3 letters. But what it is, what we should call minimum. First stage of the product, okay. Can we say that every single product is MVP? No, okay. Yeah, so I like this definition, which comes from Eric Rice, the lean startup author. And actually, it puts down the essence of an MVP. So basically, if we want to call something MVP, we need to design a product which will give us most possible information about what we are going to do. So basically, it's a trial. And while we are doing this trial, we need to collect data. If we do something, we give it to our potential customers, and we are not collecting data, so it's meaningless. The very important part is validate our product, collect data, and understand if we are going to succeed with this particular product. Why we need it and why we are talking about it, the reason is very simple. If we look at statistics, why startups are failing, number one reason is basically no market need. So sometimes we are creating problems in our head. Sometimes we take very small problem and we exaggerate it and we think that it will be needed for really large number of customers, and we are doing product, we are releasing it, and it turns out that there was no need for such product. Sometimes we are creating crappy solution for existing problem, and there is no need for our solution. So basically, MVP gives a way how we can check if there is actual need in the market, and we can check this. I'm sure you know what is Maslow pyramid or triangle for people. So, you know, the basic layer used to be some time ago like food, etc., safety, and on top was Wi-Fi. Now most likely that's vice versa. Wi-Fi is more needed or broadband than food. But we can put the same hierarchy also for products. And the most basic one is functionality. If we don't have functionality, so there is no sense to have such product or service. Then we need reliability. If it's not reliable, so definitely we will not achieve success. Then we have usability, and on the top, here we have two layers. Sometimes we have one, which is emotional part of product, or we can split it in two, creativity and proficiency. And the question, which is really important, you said that some stage of product is minimum viable product. If we look at this triangle, what do you think? Which part must cover minimum viable product? Any ideas? Functionality. And that's it. Usability as well, yes. And emotional part of product? Yes. So actually, a lot of minimum viable products concentrate only on the lower level. Usually, startups or teams who have idea, they concentrate only on functionality. And they say, okay, we did it, it works, that's okay, we can already release, etc. But that will not work. Actually, we are giving broader product to our customers. This is all experience. So we don't need to cover everything for all groups, for all cases, etc. But for this part which we are checking, we need to cover actually all of those parts. And it's really important because customers tend to be more needy, I would say, and they expect more. And we can't deliver a product which doesn't have all of those parts. That doesn't mean that you need to have polished, perfect product, but you need to check that you have all of those. And if we look at this minimum viable product, 3 words, so minimum, that means that we are solving actually the main problem, not some side problems, etc. But if we are talking about value proposition, so we are delivering this value. It's minimum. You don't add anything else, just that problem solving. Real existing problem and real solution. And viable, that means that it actually delivers that value. So that means that you are covering this functionality, reliability, usability, and this emotional design. And product that it's actually used by customer. If you don't have those 3 steps, it's something else. Okay, so if we look at those reasons why startups usually failing, so how we can use MVP to check if we will fail or not. So we can do two ways. One way is to check product viability, and second way is to check business model. If we are designing MVP for product, so we have to answer one question. And if we are designing MVP for testing business model, so that's a little bit different story. If we are checking business model, most likely we can go to market with worse product or worse service than we are going to have in the final version. But we need to find paying customers, and we try to check if there are actually paying customers who are going to pay money and actually pays money. Because if you go to any customer and ask, would you pay money for this service? Usually you will get answer yes. But if you will ask, can you pay now? Usually it's, maybe not now, maybe tomorrow, I have to think, and so on. So you can't rely on answer that I will pay someday in the future. You need to ask and actually get money from those customers. So you create MVP, you actually try to sell and check if customers are paying money. And of course, to do that, you need to have some kind of working product. It's not perfect and so on, but it's already delivering value. Second way is to check idea and product itself. So in that case, you need to have even better product when you have something already in the market. So you are delivering more value than your competitors. And also you get paying customers. And that also validates your idea. You know that idea is good and product can be later delivered. As an example of this type of MVP, you can actually not build service itself. You can do some work manually and deliver this value created not by the system, etc., but by the people. There used to be a startup called Y-Plan. It's not existing at the moment, but I liked how they did this type of MVP. They actually created a service where you could buy last time minute tickets for some events. And we didn't have any system, anything, but we actually collected all orders and they manually went to the venue, bought tickets, delivered them by some metro, train, etc., to customers, and there was no any system. Everything was done manually, but they checked if customers will pay money, if they can get this idea flying, no programming, just one simple form, etc. So this is type of MVP which you can do without any actual product development or very minimum one. So what should be done to achieve success? And one of key elements is assumption for the test. So basically, when you are designing MVP, take the riskiest part. And if you don't know how it will work, if it will work, if not, so you need to test it. And you have to set goal. Okay, we are going to test that assumption, which we have in our heads, but we don't know if it will work in real business, in a real market situation. Second thing is actually measuring and setting success criteria before that actual measurement. In a lot of cases, people say, okay, we are going to check business idea, we will create MVP and so on, but they are not defining success criteria. You need to say, okay, if we will sell 10 per hour, 100 per hour, 1,000 per month, etc., that's going to be success. Sometimes it happens so that you are launching some product, etc., you get some customers, and then you start figuring out, was it good or was it bad? Is it good result? Have we succeeded or not? Actually, you need already to think that before creating MVP and launching it. Otherwise, you can get lost and you can start doing trade-offs with yourself. Okay, maybe it would be good to have 1,000 per week. We got 500, maybe that's good. Maybe that's not, because you didn't create a business case, you didn't calculate, and now you are trying to guess, is it good or not? So if you selected assumption, which you are going to test, set success criteria, started measuring it, then you can already expect success from MVP. What pitfalls you should avoid? First of all, one type of customers. When business evolves, at some point you start differentiating your product and services, trying to serve other types of customers, not those which you have started serving in the very beginning of business of your offering. But you shouldn't do that in the beginning of your business and when you are trying to test MVP. This path is very alluring, and a lot of cases you can get to brainstorming and putting ideas. If we would do that, so we would attract also those customers. If we would add this feature, so we would serve also those customers and we would increase number of our customers. No, you need to find this customer group with which you are going to work and serve them best, and limit all your efforts only to that group. Do not start a differentiation of your product, service in the very beginning, and especially in MVP. Too good. So this is another pitfall in which it's very easy to fall in the very beginning when you are hesitate to release your product or service. And when you are already somewhere near the launch, you say, okay, we need still to do something else and add some feature, make it work better, and so on. Stop at some point. We want to be perfect, we want to do perfect products, but at some point you need to say, stop, okay, we already did everything from this Maslow pyramid for products and services, and we need to stop. That's it. Another thing, which is very human, that we are mixing wishes and actual needs. So we want something, we expect that our customers also will have this wish, but actually there is no need. The need is when you have problem and you are going to pay money for this need to fulfill and to solve a problem. If there is a wish, yeah, I wish to go to the moon. Would I pay today? No, definitely no. Unless it will cost, I don't know, very reasonable amount, but today most likely not. So don't mix your wishes, don't project them on your potential customers, and don't listen to customers' wishes, but actually identify needs, and also problem must be actually solved and deliver it, this problem solving to them. Another problem is that, and it's very related, that it's quite difficult to listen to customers. You need actually to speak with them, to listen to them, not to listen to their expressed problem-solving method, but you need to identify their actual problem and devise your solution, which is actually perfect for them. It's a problem that in most cases customers have very good understanding of their problem, but have very poor solutions for their problem because they have less experience and so on and so on. So you should not listen to solutions, but actually to problems and find the better solution than existing one. So go, talk, identify problems, and get feedback. And another thing is, which is very easy to do, you can see that our product is unique. There is no solution like ours. Nobody is solving this problem. So if you already recognize this pattern in your thinking, stop a little bit, And think once again, if your problem is, if your solution is unique and problem is unique, so most likely there is no need for it. You are so unique that there are no customers. Question yourself once again, will you actually have customers for this problem which you are trying to solve? Uniqueness in problem is actually problem. So if it's unique problem, most likely you took some bad path. If you have unique solution for problem, which is not existing now, that is something good. But if problem is unique, that's dangerous path. Okay, so when MVP is a success, first of all, when you are actually solving problem and it's better solution to existing solutions in the market today. Of course, if you have better performance and better efficiency, so most likely it's cheaper and it must be cheaper in some way. So if performance is the same, you have to have lower prices, and it's not because you have lower workforce cost. You are doing something smarter, you are doing something more efficient, but not because you just bought this time some raw material cheaper today. Most likely your competitors will do that tomorrow also, but if you have fundamentally better performance, so you can offer better pricing. And usually that comes with a new way of solving existing problem. So if you have those check marks already on your list, so MVP should be, or at least it can be, successful. And now some examples of successful MVPs. I guess that most of you have used at some point in your life, or maybe you are using today, Airbnb. So that's how it looked like the first MVP, which we did while we were students, and what assumption we were testing. Today it's quite normal thing to go to someone's flat or house and live for 1 week or weekend, but that was not a norm at the time. So their assumption was to check supply, and if people will agree to accept strangers in their house. It was quite obvious that at the time when we were checking this idea, that there is need for such service which is lower priced comparing to hotels. There was big need, there was too little supply of hotels and so on. But the question was, will we have enough supply and those who would like to let their flats or houses? And actually, we designed this simple form. We manually also called, reserved, booked, and so on, and organized everything, and there was enough demand for this. Another example is a little bit quite similar to Airbnb, but also renting dresses instead of flats and houses. And there was also assumption which we needed to test if women will rent their dresses. Also, the question about supply. And if women will rent someone's dresses, also the question about demand. And their MVP was also success. And we used this concierge MVP model also, that we were not designing system where you can put your dresses, you can automatically select something, some offerings, etc. No, we did everything manually. There was some website where you could choose, manually called and said, look, there is someone who would like to rent your dress, and that was also success. Spotify. So today this example might look like very obvious and outdated maybe, but at the time when Spotify started, so nobody knew if people would listen music online and pay for that. At this time, you could buy some tape or DVD or CD, but online, and I don't know why I didn't put success criteria, but it was like a number of users who were actually using online streaming. Uber, so also story not very new today. It's very common thing to go somewhere by Uber or Bolt, etc. And at that time, only professional taxi drivers were available and taxi services. And the idea was to use regular people who have car and some spare time to earn money, and if they would provide the service. And their main success criteria was number of drivers who registered for such service. And another is hardware product example. So the product which was delivered to the market, which reached actually very good success. If you remember, iPhone 1. And it was very, very different from today's iPhone. There was no app store, there was no applications, there was just browser and actually email client. Their main difference from existing solutions in the market was actually working browser. Today nobody remembers this, but at that time all mobile phones and smartphones had so-called VAP service for browsing and only specially designed websites only with texts without any graphics was available. And what Apple did, actually, they gave opportunity and possibility to open any website with mobile phone and actually start browsing. Today, that's normal thing. Today, we have applications, etc. At that time, it was just browser and good email client. Okay, so basically, that's it, what I wanted to present. And it would be really a pleasure if you would have some questions, ideas, maybe you would like to share, and we could discuss and talk. Yes.
Yeah, so I have a question. So it's quite easy, not I mean easy, it's quite easy to make the software to beat, but what about hardware? As your product is also hardware, so can you share some experience? What was your first prototype and how did you find first testers and something like that?
Okay, so questions for those who are listening through YouTube. The question is about hardware MVPs and how hardware MVPs can be and should be done. So main difference from software, as you said, is easy to fix problems and actually upgrade product. If you have software product, and especially if it's server-side product, you are releasing and all customers getting new version. If you made some mistake, some bug, etc., you can fix it very fast. Sometimes you need some time to fix, but then you are delivering to all customers. It's totally different story with hardware. You can't make so many versions of hardware as with software. It costs actually money, and you can't change, or at least it's very expensive. If you have 100 customers or 1,000 or 10,000, it's impossible to change hardware. So releasing MVP of hardware should be planned more carefully. And you can also have a little bit more advanced hardware, which would enable software and firmware updates. So if you want to check something and you have in the roadmap more features, you should be able to deliver those future features on the same hardware. That was also the case with iPhone. Later, we have introduced some apps which were quite different from existing apps. They were so-called web apps, if I remember correctly, which you could deliver like almost local web server. So they were limited, but they already were able to run on first iPhone. Quite similar story was with our product. Initially, we released product which showed just profile of the bottom and some fish icons. But we already implemented hardware in such a way that later we could add new features for our customers. And those first customers who bought our product, it was approximately 1,000 customers, and we launched in the Go campaign and also our website where we collected money. So we said that this product will be delivered in 1 year with those and those features, which was our MVP, and we actually collected money. And later we developed a product. Of course, we already were at some level of development. We knew that we will be able to deliver this product. We already made some first tests. We knew that technology is available, but we need some time to finish development and prepare for manufacturing. And later we added different modes like boat mode, like raw mode, where you have very detailed information of sonar view and so on. Server side part where you could access your scans on computer, map, and so on. So if you plan hardware products, you should also put this, let's say, margin for future development and adding new functions. Did I answer the question? Any other questions? Or maybe you have some ideas and you would like to talk to your colleagues and ask questions or have discussion about your MVP. Yes.
If you have one answer and one opportunity to answer this question, what your main advice for a startup not do not fail?
So your question is, if I have one, to highlight one answer or one possible pitfall, so what not to do, yes? Or what to do? Which one? Okay, so I will answer what to do and on what you should focus. So most important thing is customer need and solution to it. This is most important thing. If you will actually find a problem which is like itchy and customers are looking for solution and you can solve it better ways, because actually all problems are solved. Don't be naive. All problems are solved today, or at least 99.9% of problems. I'm not talking about fundamental things like multiverse and so on, and let's leave those things somewhere else, or faster than speed of light traveling. No, let's leave those somewhere else. But if we are talking about regular customers, all problems are already solved. What you have to do, you need to find better solution. So this is your number one question. What is the problem? And what solution can I deliver? And how it will be superior to existing solutions. And what not to do? Not to get into this wishful thinking. That, okay, most likely customers are having this problem. Most likely, I think so. And I will solve this problem. You need to go to customers. You need to check if the problem is existing and if you have better solution. It's very related, but a lot of startups start to solve non-existing problem or delivering actually a crappy solution to this problem. Any other questions?
So let's say that I have for creating VPN prior to testing?
Yeah, so this is one of good ways how you can find the problems. If you have a problem and you actually have a problem, so that indicates that most likely there are other people. And you need this answer. If there is enough other people with the same problem which you have, and a lot of really good problems were created that way. For example, Uber, they created Uber after they were trying to call taxi in New York. They were not able to get a cab if it was rainy weather, and a lot of cabs already were booked, and they were standing just on the street, and they had this problem. And we said, well, why? Why we're standing here? There are a lot of people having spare time, and maybe there would be a bigger supply of service if we would release such application. So this is really a good way of thinking. How you can check? So one way is to actually create a website or try to sell in some way. Amazon, I don't know if it's physical product, if it's some service, but you can try to actually sell. It can be non-fully working prototype of e-shop service, etc., where you stop at some point and not collect data, but you already know that this amount of customers would like to pay money. You can run some surveys. Sometimes it's expensive, but sometimes you can find a way how you can buy access to quite big number of customers, and properly designed questionnaire actually can give good insights if there are people with this problem. It's much more difficult to check how much money they are going to pay for this, but at least scale and amount of money, people, not money, you can at least grasp. So that's regular ways how you can do that. Of course, to understand if a problem is the same, it's better not quantitative but qualitative survey when you are talking to people. So it's very important to understand if it's actually the same problem which you have or it's slightly different. Can you serve with this idea which you have on mind those people or not? And then it's quite important to understand the number. So then you should go with this quantitative survey. Did I answer the question? Okay. Someone else? Yes.
What sort of assumptions were you testing with the first MVP? What was your success criteria?
So we were trying to test if. Oh, yes. So the question was what assumptions we tried to check with our first product. And the main question was if people are going to use sonar from the shore. If people will believe in the product itself, because at the time castable sonars were not available in the market. Only big, huge devices which you had to install in some boat, etc. And nobody saw such small device, because usually sonar it was like 2.5 kilo set, transducers, displays, and so on. And we had something very small, less than 100 grams, like tennis ball device. And that was the main question. If people will believe that we can get actually useful information from such technology. And that was quite a challenge in very beginning. When we went to the trade shows, we showed prototypes to anglers, and the first reaction, what? Nonsense. I don't believe that it can work, such small device. I have at home my sonar for boat. It's big and so on and so, and you fitted all this technology in such small ball. So that was the main question which we wanted to check if people will pay money and believe that we can get information from such small device.
Your success criteria was sales.
Yes, so it was sales, because actually we launched Indiegogo campaign, and our website. So actually, we collected enough sales what we expected to collect. Actually, almost half of them came from Indiegogo campaign and another half from our website. So it was approximately 50-50. We had a lot of ads and we used a lot of PR because we introduced product which was not available at the moment in the market as castable one. So we got a lot of attention and we were covered in a lot of outlets like Wired and so on and so on. That's such small device, technology, etc., etc. So two things: our marketing campaign, which was paid one, like banners, etc., and a lot of even free media coverage in big outlets. And your question? So first was build this coverage. Oh yeah, thanks. The question was how we convinced our potential customers that we can actually deliver working product. So of course we had those people who tended more to believe and check this technology, and also we built it this. I would say, initial coverage in those big outlets, and people believed, okay, if they are writing about this, so most likely that's true and I can believe. Later, when we already started business, we used influencers, big anglers, to whom we approached them, we gave product, we started using and so on, and then anglers look, oh, okay, if they are using, so I can believe and I can trust this product. But that was already later stage. But in the very beginning, we collected enough anglers who believed. Any other questions or ideas? If you can afford this part, so of course, if we look at history of modern, I would say, internet, in the very beginning, it was much easier to launch any MVP because customers were not so needy as today. They didn't have so much options to choose. And today it's much more difficult to get attention of potential customers. I will repeat the question. So your question is, if you have already MVP, which actually solve a problem for the customer, and if you should start advertise, try to get customers for this product, that's right? Yeah, so if you have MVP, which is actually solving the problem, to get attraction from potential customers, most likely in today's real world, you will need to spend already money for marketing because of this huge competition of offerings, etc. You need to drive attention to your product. So for me personally, it's very difficult to imagine a real life situation that you are not doing any marketing campaign, you are not advertising your product, you're just placing somewhere on the web, and organically, naturally, a lot of customers are trying and your product and they are happy. Most likely, at least at some level, you will need to get attention. If your product is so good that later word of mouth will get you new customers through recommendations, etc., you are very lucky. But I believe that in any case, you will need some marketing campaign to start it rolling. If your product is really good in MVP stage and you're actually solving the problem, so most likely you will need to improve later your product, but it should be already profitable and start getting more and more traction. Did I answer the question? Yes. Very good question. The question is for how long you need to test MVP. And there is no good answer for that, I would say. In any case, you will have some assumptions which you need to test. So you will say that I need to sell some amount of products, some subscriptions, some services, or to gain some traffic organically or something. This assumption which you need to test. And still, before any MVP, there should be at least some level of business plan. And in this business plan, we'll lay also most likely answer about the time. If you will say that, okay, it seems like this is viable business plan in case we are getting 1,000 new customers per month or per week, etc. So you will test this part as well. If you will be able to get this amount in some reasonable time, that's okay. For example, as I don't know the name, as you asked about this marketing campaign, so you need to take into account how long you need to run some ads that people will actually start buying. Sometimes you need to show the same ad one time, sometimes two, sometimes 10 times. So you need to also to calculate, okay, if I'll start this campaign, most likely in 2 weeks I will have already enough customers who saw enough my advertisement, or maybe you need two actions like some banner plus influencer, and usually that happens in 2 weeks. So I will run for 3 weeks. So still there is some assumptions or real life experience how you can calculate this minimum time. But there is no good answer like rule of thumb that 1 week, 2 weeks, or 1 month. Any other questions?
What about physical marketplaces? Are they still available with internet generation? Can you still go to some IT conference and try to test the product? Will it solve anything to get you
The question is about physical places, like example was some conferences where you could present your product or service. And I guess that also includes brick and mortar shops, like regular places where you can go and physically check the product. Yes?
I'm talking about like the IT festivals or something like this. We still have.
If you have your customer, potential customers in that conference, I would say it's quite good location. It's just the channel or the place where you can place your, broadly speaking, advertisement. And if you can reach quite big audience, why not? I believe that it's in some ways even better because you are personally presenting product. You are not some no-name banner in the internet because there are a lot of promises in the internet, but there are no real faces, something from stock market of photos, etc. But you are actually presenting as co-founder the product. So definitely you are giving a much stronger message. Amount might be of people who will listen to you quite small, but conversion rate could be really high. Yes.
So what you would do differently from start again?
What I would do if I would start startup again? Very good question. And I would say that we did quite small amount of mistakes and errors in the very beginning. Uh, Maybe I would say we should start raising financing a little bit earlier, because we decided to start looking for investor only when we had the product before commercialization. So basically before starting production. And we started approximately 2 months before that point in time. I believe it would be better to start earlier, to have less stress, to have more options. But actually, it worked quite well in our case, but it would be better to start earlier, at least when we already knew that this technology is viable. And when we had already checked if there are customers who are actually paying. So that's one of the things which we would change, I believe. And later we did mistakes from which we learned, but they came already in later stages, I would say. Did I answer the question? Yes.
What point do you start thinking about protecting the intellectual property? Obviously, the cheap competitors will start to snatch the idea. At what point did, for example,
Very good question. And actually, we started far too late. Okay, it's not the case. We started very early before actually launching any information about our product, etc., before establishing a company and so on. So in theory, we started at the right time. But we also did a really big mistake here when we tried to submit our patent. We got first rejection, and we were told that there is nothing new. Basically, all technology is already existing. Sonar is already known from First World War, nothing new. They are already in the market. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, which we use for communication with phone is not anything new. So basically nothing new. There is nothing to protect. And we got these rejections. Okay, so it's free market. So, okay, we will compete with better product and so on. That's okay. And then one company in the US actually saw our already Indiegogo campaigns and so on. And they, from this seventh time, actually in the US market, patented castable sonar, which is quite strange. But now there are a lot of changes in the US regulation of patenting and so on. Most likely today we would not succeed, but that time we succeeded. And we were rewriting their claims until they got the proper formulation, and last change was just one word. In one claim, changing that word brought them actually patent. So it's quite funny, and the mistake which we made that, okay, from the first rejection, okay, so nothing is can be done here, so we will abandon this path and we are not going to protect. So don't give up, and if you got first rejection, try to rewrite claims, try to define better advisors who have maybe more experience working with IP protection. And frankly speaking, that's quite expensive and that costs money. So there is also always question, should I invest in protection or should I be better with my product? How well protected I will be with this patent and so on. So it's quite tricky question, and it's not very easy. So you should look into possibility to have patent and IP protection. But also check the timing and so on, because sometimes you need to postpone your product launch while you will at least prepare first draft and first time you will submit the patent. Yes. Okay, so I got the question about government and products and services for government. That's correct. And MVPs, if there are any regulations and so on. So frankly speaking, I can't answer this question because I have zero experience working with governments, and I have no idea if that can be applied, if there are any regulations and so on. I know that in Lithuania there is so-called pre-market. Maybe I will not use proper English wording, but something like pre-market tenders, where you can, some government agency, organization, etc., can announce tender for something what is not existing in the market yet. So then you can participate in that tender and so on. But I can't say anything about regulations, practices, and so on. Never worked with this, so sorry. Someone else? Do we have possibility to get questions from online attenders? Okay. Okay, so it seems like there are no questions and discussions. Thank you very much. I hope that today's presentation was useful for you and you will bring something in your heads home, and while you work with your ideas, with your team, you will use something from today's presentations. So have luck with your ideas, create really good solutions to problems which actually exist in your customers' daily or not daily life, and we are going to pay for those solutions which you will create. Thank you.